Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to round 5, and it is a sprint weekend yet again. Please let me know if you can see everything clearly on the stream. But welcome to Tier 1 Brazil. We have ourselves, this is going to be exciting because we have ourselves a very full grid. All 20 drivers are here today. We do have a handful of reserves. We've got Martin, or Martin, as he would prefer for me to just say, reserving in for Red Bull. We have ourselves newly signed Sinead to Mercedes for Tier 1, and then we also have Cos Sylvie reserving in once again for Alpine. It'll be interesting to see how all these drivers do for this sprint race. Hopefully we have some excitement. With a sprint race, it is one-shot qualifying, followed by a 12-lap sprint race, and then a 36-lap full race. But here's the catch. They've all got different weather conditions. I say they've all got different weather conditions. You've got yourself sunny, clear skies for the one-shot quali, so this can be quite interesting and quite difficult to try and keep up with all the drivers and what laps they are putting in. We then have ourselves wet conditions for the sprint race, so the drivers are going to have to deal with this beautiful circuit under treacherous, slippery conditions on the intermediate tyres, so the green wall tyres. And then for the race, 36 laps around this great circuit in beautiful green skies? Blue skies. If they're green, run for the hills. And I see someone's already readied up for the session, so we're going to jump into qualifying very quickly. A few notes whilst we get into qualifying. This circuit has got a lot of famous history. For those of you who don't know it, quite a few championships are won at this circuit. Fortunately, the entertainment goes on still for Phoenix, and we will not have a championship won here at this round. And I'll go through this points in just a second as we are going to get a better view. There we go. Mr. Sinead reserving in for Mercedes was in the lead for the first corner. Let's see, Rico van Basten. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm going to stick with Rico for the time being. Currently in the lead, of course, 2 retirees at the so far. They are serving a qualifying ban, so they are required to retire at the start of the session. But it's so far, it's looking very interesting now. So Soybean, who's had a commanding lead all throughout this season so far, unfortunately with Australia, he's suffered a power cut, which did result in his retirement and the loss of his win streak. But he was undefeated in being able to score fastest laps or be able to score those wins in the races. But now in this one-shot qualifying, we've got a nice little battle between Rico and Cos, who are going to come down towards the line. It looks like Rico's got the faster middle sector just by half a tenth. As we come down to the line now, Cos probably with the setup, he's taken the lead of this qualifying and crosses with oh my goodness, an insane lap time. A 107.486. Rico just behind by 1/10. Very close qualifying. Boosty and Panos, 2 friends in our partner league, 8 1/1000ths of a second apart from each other. Everyone but Sinead, all in the 108s or quicker. Wobbly McQueen at the back of the grid in, 16th place, I believe, after retiring from Tier 1, back in reserving for his team. Oh, sorry, not for his team, for a competitor's team. No, yeah, for his team. I thought it was for Haas he was reserving. I guess plans have changed. Hiya, Rose. Welcome to the chat. But as I was saying, as we have a look at qualifying there, we have ourselves a very full track at a very historic circuit. For those of you who don't know, we've got names like Lewis Hamilton winning a championship here just by 1 point against Felipe Massa. Ferrari absolutely losing their minds after Massa presumably won the championship and he had won the race, but unfortunately Timo Glock going slowly, of course, gave the championship to Lewis Hamilton. So that was a famous race for this track. That also helped really secure Lewis Hamilton as one of the Brazilians. Everyone at Brazil really loved Lewis Hamilton. We've had great drives by Max Verstappen as well. We've seen him in the wet, absolutely flying around the first S's of Sector 1, absolutely flying around the outside. He's got the wet tyres, he's got the grip over the competition. No one stood a chance. And then we've also got Vettel. I know I'm going a bit random on the time line, but Vettel as well with a commanding charge, managing to score himself the championship. Fortunately, I can't remember the years off the top of my head, but thank you, Flynn, for gifting a subscription to Baltash. I pronounced it right, I hope. But yes, and Rose, thank you for the 100 bits. But we have quite a historic circuit, and I am certainly intrigued to see how we're going to go for this race this evening. Soybean really looks to stand out as the Max Verstappen of the session, of the season so far. Australia being his one-off, Australia being the one circuit where he had a bit of a downfall, and we'll have to see what he can do now as 5 lights are on the screen, and away we go. Very good start for Rico. Cos with a poor start, unfortunately just losing out on quite a bit of time. Now to the first corner, Rico will take the lead of the race, and there goes Soybean down the inside. He's going to take second place now. Cos Silvi down 2 positions. Let's get rid of this HUD for a moment, just so we can see all the cars, all the carnage. There was a car, 2 cars off in the distance there, and so far JPJ disqualified from the session for going backwards, which is not something we want to see at all. Let's get the HUD back on our screen. There you have it, folks. An incredible start for Rico, managing to gain the lead of the race. Cos Silvi going down 2 places. Boosty as well, fighting with his friend Panos there in 4th and 5th. Rico just behind. Wobbie McQueen with an incredible start. Wobbie McQueen up to P9 already. If we have a quick look at the positions, he's gone from 13th up to 9th place. An incredible start for Wobbie McQueen. And unfortunately, 2 drivers, Mr. Techus and JPJ, all the way down to the bottom of the order. We've got McLaren going across the field there. Wobbie McQueen with a 5-second time penalty and a collision, a massive collision now, with multiple drivers there. As we're going to see Rico still continue on for the lead of the race. A whopping 1.3, 1.4 second gap to Soybean behind, who Soybean struggling for grip, as now we're going to have a battle between Cos. I say a battle, that is a clean move, an easy move for the Alpine as he goes through. Yet Joe and Baltash, I'm very confused. I would love to know what's happened there for an open lobby moment, as we have Mika now with a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. But Rico, P1, 1.2 seconds. Cos is on the hunt, reserving in after his first reserve race was quickly ended, unfortunately, by an incident on the first corner. So Cos Silvi looking to try and come back and prove his dominance on track again. Of course, for those of you who don't know, Cos, who's been racing with us for quite some time now, he has absolutely blitzed the track before, or blitzed the field before. Monaco is probably the highlight that I can remember for Cos Silvi, winning the race by, I want to say it was like 10, 15 seconds at least. He was absolutely storming the field around Monaco. And of course, this was in the F1 2022 days, so when we were playing ice skating with the F1 cars. So let's see what Cos can do around another ice rink in the wet around Brazil. 1.2 seconds still. And it is looking fairly steady for the rest of the grid. Of course, the tyres don't really matter. Everyone is going to be on those intermediates. We're going to see Mr. Techus with an incredible move now as we come round and across the finish line for lap 3. He gets through for P11, but now he's going to have the AlphaTauri team principal try and stick it around the outside, now into the first corner. They're going to go too wide into the first corner, now round to the second corner. Can I see them? There they are. Techus still with plenty of grip. He's pulling insane amounts of grip, an insane amount of time to Zolt's behind. Already half a second as he come down the second straight now. As Panos gets through ahead of Boosty. Boosty, in fact, going really wide there. I've just realized I do not have my map. That is what I'm missing. There we have it. Just going through the second sector. Boosty, unfortunately, losing out on 2 positions from both his competitor and his teammate. Rico almost having a snap there. Fortunately, keeping control of his car. Very good control for him there as Techus gets another position now into P10. Of course, in a sprint race, unfortunately, not the top 10 can score points. It's only the top 8 can score points. 8 points down to 1 from P1 to P8. And so right now, Brizan is the final driver in position to score a point. Rico with a faster lap, a 16.660. So far, I want to say good racing, but unfortunately that really bizarre incident as a McLaren goes across the grass. I'm curious to know what happened there, and I'm sure the stewards are going to have an absolute blast on Tuesday when they have to review everything. I was going to see the Mercedes and the AlphaTauri. They're going to battle out for P13 there. In fact, both AlphaTauris are in a pretty decent position at the moment, looking to try and climb their way up into P8. Of course, Cybersid and Zoltz, two drivers who are incredibly talented, but Zoltz, someone that has recently, well, sprints don't count, but as of the start of the Brazilian Grand Prix, will hit 40 race starts here at Phoenix Simsport. The longest standing driver to continue racing at Phoenix in Tier 1, previously beating McLaren team boss, or ex-team boss, Maverick, who was sitting at the top there with 38 race starts. Results looking to continue on. We have a yellow flag there in the second sector. I think that's going to be for the Haas of Dietz. Very unfortunate race for him so far, as we have a swap between Boosty and Rico, so team orders between the pair of them. I'm going to stay on board here with Zoltz and see how he does. Of course, whilst points are only up to the top 8 positions, we're going to see him go down the inside now. He's going to try and go for a move on the Mercedes man, and he does it in a beautiful send down the inside. And now he is comfortably ahead, and of course, with it raining, there's going to be no DRS, so there is no threat of competition on this second straight. But whilst the points, as I was saying, whilst the points are only in the top 8, the position you finish in this race is the position you start the 36 lap race in. Of course, that is going to be full dry. DRS will be enabled, and strategies are going to be all over the place. Drivers starting on the softs, trying to go for an early stop, or we're going to have drivers starting on the mediums or the hards, looking to extend the stint as far as they can. And with safety car off, they have got to be absolutely careful on what strategy they go for, and to risk it or to not risk it. Well, let's have a look back to P1 and to P2, because Koz was on quite a charge. He's managed to stay ahead of Soybean. I say that, and there is a small snap there, and it looks like Soybean's going to try and look for a move. Let's jump on board with him. He is all over the gearbox of the Alpine. Alpine to the inside. Soybean trying to go for a move. Unfortunately, not quite close enough. There, that was very close. Almost contact between the pair of them. Soybean managing to just stop the car in time. But Koz now, he's got to focus on defense rather than offense. His goal, his only goal, is to defend as much as he can. Start P2, start on, I believe that is the outside line for the first corner. No, it'd be the inside line, which is the better line. For almost every corner, the inside line is going to be your best friend. As we now approach the halfway mark, we've got ourselves a nice little battle. Too wide between the Mercedes and the AlphaTauri. Now coming through the second sector, coming down towards the third sector. Takoda, wow, it's a beautiful drift by the pair of them. But Takoda, this is going to be an ongoing fight between the pair of them. Takoda, though, very good racing so far. And he is only 4/10 off of Tick, so he is still in the fight to potentially go for a P10 finish. 5 laps left to go. Can he keep up the pace? Can he close that gap down to the Haas driver ahead, who is an Alfa Romeo driver in Tier 2, reserving in for their opponents today? I'm really messing up my words this afternoon. I do apologize, folks. But Tixnix fighting for Haas, 2.7 seconds behind his Tier 1 teammate ahead. He's got heavy pressure from behind. So far, though, this is going to look like the only battle. I say that as Mr. Go in the Williams is absolutely on the charge. Gets ahead of Brisen. Now on the fight for Boosty, trying to score more points. 2 points in the bag at the moment. Can he score that third point? It has been a bit of a crazy session so far, Matt. In fact, Matt, as the McLaren engineer, how's it going for them? Of course, it's a very unfortunate race. Chris down in 19th place, Wobbie McQueen in 16th. One of them, I'm assuming it was Wobbie. I was spectating him at the time. Of course, going off the grass, I can only assume locking up in the grass, especially in the rain. You're not going to stop. It's going to be an ice rink tenfold in the grass. Now it is just a patient waiting game. 4 laps left to go. Only 8 drivers can score points, but crucially and more importantly, whilst championship points are essential, especially for the team principals who want to try and earn as much money, recuperate on the costs of putting the drivers into those seats and into these races, starting position for the 36 lap race is going to be more important because 26 points are on the line in that session. As Tixnix loses a position now. He's gone down to P12. He was fighting for P10. Unfortunately, both positions lost and now is under pressure from another Mercedes as Shanae, newest full-time driver, back on the grid. He is a F1 champion as well, Phoenix. I believe it was Season 2 or Season 3. He was the champion, and now he is on the hunt for P12. What can the King do? As we have a yellow flag in the first sector. It's going to be a yellow flag for Soybean. Soybean has lost the car into the first corner. He's lost P3, and he's now going to be under pressure from P4. Aston Martin are on the hunt for blood, and they're going to try and chase down Soybean as he's lost 1 position. So Panos now on for P3. What has happened there for Soybean? In that Red Bull, as Boosty now receives a 3-second time penalty for track limits. The first driver to receive a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Fortunately, unlike ACC, we don't have the ability to have a replay. So I am certainly looking forward to, I say I'm looking forward to, but I'd love to know from the drivers or from the highlights what has happened for Soybean. Could it be the famous Max Verstappen drift around that first corner? I'm sure everyone has seen that clip. I think it was Brazil 2014, where Max Verstappen on the wet tyres in the heavy rain just clipped the curb and his car went drifting beautifully. I have to give it to him, but drifted beautifully around the S's and almost lost the car. As we jump on board with Mr. Go here, who was looking really feisty for P7 there. He's gone all the way off the grass. He's actually spun out now into the first corner. He's not lost just 1, but 2 positions now as Tachus goes through for P8. What's happened for the Williams? All chaos and carnage, all in the sprint race. Of course, the wet weather is not going to do much good for these drivers. It's going to be very difficult to keep the car stopped, to keep the car planted without slipping. And so far, 3 victims of the wet. There is now, without a doubt, yellow flag now for, I think that is Wobbie McQueen in the second sector, who's not having the time of his life at all. It is a matter of patience. How long before we have another driver error, before another change of position, as we cross the line now for the 11th lap of the race? Rico still with a commanding charge, 3 seconds nearly in P1. Cos Silvi as well with a 3.5, nearly 4 seconds lead ahead of Panos. And then 2 seconds and then 2.5 seconds. So a nice gap between all the drivers from P5 all the way through to P1. So we have another yellow flag for Martin, unfortunately P16, reserve driver for Red Bull. He is not having some fun around this circuit. But do not fear, these drivers, they may be making mistakes. It is very much possible. Of course, this is the toughest competition here at Phoenix Simsport, with no assists enabled at all for these drivers. The only assist we allow the drivers to race with is the racing line, and they are doing their absolute damnness to keep the car on track. So far, though, they have done a superb job of that. But in the dry, everything changes. The grip changes. The pace changes. Everyone becomes incredibly fast. And absolutely, I don't know how they do it, but they tire save like there is no tomorrow. As Rico now crossed the line for the final lap of the race. Rico trying to fight for his first ever race victory. Is now going to cross the line for the end of the first sector. Rico, who has consistently scored podiums or has suffered heartbreak through various stages of the season, not only holds the lead of the race by 3 seconds, but he is over 8 seconds away from his friend and his competitor Soybean down in P4 at the moment, who is leading the Drivers' Championship. We now come through the second sector, and Rico is looking mighty strong, though not a race win, not a full race win. He is on the charge now in that third sector to secure his first sprint race victory, and it is going to be halfway through the season for Season 8. Rico, with a very squirrely exit on that final corner, is going to come around the beautiful curve and across the line to secure his first Alfa Romeo sprint race victory. A massive round of applause for Rico as Cos Silvi reserves in for Alpine, secures P2, panels for Ferrari, previous champion at Phoenix Imsport, secures P3, and Soybean, after such a promising start and a promising qualifying, unfortunately loses positions from that first corner spin, crosses the line for P4, Rico P5, Brizzen manages to take P6, Boosty having to serve a 3-second time penalty for track limits, and then Techus for P8. So Alfa Romeo scoring 9 points in total, and Rico finally, for the sprint race, scores the top step of that podium and will get to have that medal. But now we have a 36-lap race just round the corner as we have the final few runnings cross the line. 36-lap race around Brazil. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to jinx it. I'm going to have the Alfa Romeo team bosses knocking at my front door if I'm not careful. But I am very excited to see how is this race going to go. Rico as well scores P1 with 0.3 litres of fuel. He crossed the line almost with no fuel. The same for the Alpine. Cos crosses the line with 0.6. And Soybean with 0.2. All these drivers ran with low fuel, knowing they are going to conserve that fuel in the race. And they just barely made it. But now we're on to 36 laps. I'm speechless. A lot happened. A lot of carnage and a lot of chaos occurred in that race. I am excited to see what we're going to have in store for us for the race. I'm also terrified. It is a dry race, full dry. We have no safety cars, so drivers have got to be absolutely careful. They've got to be as precise as possible on their brakes, on the throttle, on the corners, entry and exit to get these moves done beautifully. I really do hope we get ourselves some amazing racing around this great circuit. Now, it will be a waiting game as the drivers have an opportunity to change their setups, change their tyre strategies, change their fuel. Of course, a lot of drivers will likely have opted for a wet setup. With parc fermé off, the drivers are free to change their setups as they wish and as they please. So, it is now 8:30. We have ourselves, what is that, about 45-minute race? Give me your predictions. I'd love to know your predictions in chat. Who do you think is going to come out on top? Is it going to be Soybean, and he's going to secure himself another race win and continue that streak? He's going to be the first driver this season, if he continues this charge, to break a number of records. But I'd love to know your thoughts. Is it going to be Soybean? Is it going to be Rico? Secure that first race victory? Is it going to be Cos on an incredible comeback? Or are we going to have someone mid-pack, back of the pack, absolutely pull out another one and drive their best drive that we have ever seen before and go from P last to P1. Versus Mr. Goat and Mia 1-2. I mean, if Williams score a 1-2 after the podium at Monza, I mean, I would love to see it. I think it'll be an incredible drive to see that. Oh, there we go. They're already readying up. I don't even have to say anything. 5 red lights. Rico and Koz on the front row. Panos and Soybean on the second row. And it looks like a very good getaway for both of them. Alpine on the inside, Rico on the outside. Ferrari going on the outside as well, trying to go for a move on the Alpine as well. There was contact between the Alpine and the Ferrari as Panos has spun, and he's gone to the back of the grid. Rico still in the lead for half a second. Brizzen now up to P3. Soybean still on for P4. And Boosty and Goat to choose. There's a lot. Please get rid of this race strategies. As for the opening lap of this race, so far a pretty decent start. Brizzen absolutely keeping the drivers behind, a 1.2 second gap already to P1 and P2 as Soybean is trying to go for a move. He's trying to look for a move around Brizzen. Mr. Goat going too wide with Mr. Tachus. P6 and P7 too wide into the second sector. There is contact between the rear wing and the front wing there of the two drivers. Thankfully, doesn't look like any damage. Look at that too wide action all across the grid as Soybean has to defend and get ahead of Mr. Boosty there now as we have a beautiful drift, but unfortunate drift for Boosty, as I think that might have been late on the brakes. Loses 2 positions now as Boosty is trying to recover as much as he can. He's got his teammate on his tail. His teammate's going to go side by side now and across the line for the end of the first lap. Rico leads for the first lap, and I think that is going to be a comfortable move for Rico now. Down the inside, he's got the inside line, he's got the grip. If we have a quick look at the tyres, that'll be what that won't be wise. Both Aston Martins have just gone off and into the wall. Rico SK is out of the race. No safety car. Yellow flag. Both Aston Martins have gone into the wall. Another driver was in the wall. There was 2 other cars in the wall with those Aston Martins. But Code and Shanae now into the top 10 as Mika gets through just ahead of Tixnix for P10. What is going on this race? A lot of action and a lot of carnage. Golly gosh, I think that is the right phrase to use for this one. We have a yellow flag in the second sector. That's going to be Boosty again. That is Boosty with no front wing. I don't know how he's not lost the car there, but he's still got all 4 wheels on that car. Mika is cooking. Mika is cooking indeed. If we have a quick look... Oh, I'm pressing S, and that's me talking in the game. Mika has climbed 7 places, along with JPJ as well. So 2 drivers on an incredible start so far. JPJ serving a qualifying ban, and in fact got disqualified as well in the sprint race, so that sent him to the back of the grid for certain. Up 7 places. As a Red Bull reserve driver and Boosty are now into the pits. Of course, Boosty with that front wing, with no front wing, that will be the end of his race. And Aston Martin, Fat Cat, who is the team principal for Aston Martin, are now out of the points entirely in this 36-lap race. Rico, for the 3rd lap running, is still in the lead. It is a 1.4 second gap nearly to Cos behind. Brizzen with a 1.9 second gap nearly. Let's have a look at Soybean on the hard compound tyres. If we have a look at the tyres once again, only 4 drivers have opted to start on the hards. JPJ, Dietz, Soybean and Cos all looking to go very long on that first stint. Check P1. Thank you, 757 Motorsport. P1 is Rico Van Basten. I hope I pronounced that right. I know he's going to chew my head off if I mispronounce it. He's going to cross the line for lap 4 with a 2-second lead. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to jinx anything. Soybean now on the hunt for Brizzen. He's going to go for a move down the inside. He's got the DRS. He's got the power. He's not going to be able to defend now. He's not going to have any DRS to defend. He's got to hope that he has the pace. Mr. Goat now, ex-teammate to Brizzen. He's going to go for a move down the inside. Both of them are going to have DRS. Soybean doesn't need to worry about the fight for his position as Goat goes through down the inside with that DRS. Takes P4 from Brizzen. Let's go, Goat indeed. He is on the charge, and he's in a very good position at the moment on those medium tyres. Half a second behind Soybean. Of course, the hards are going to have less grip than the mediums in the initial stage of this race. I think for the next what is that, 5-6 laps at least. I think the mediums are going to have the advantage before the hards really start to grip up, really start to warm up and have that advantage. So Mr. Goat trying to capitalize as much as he can. Soybean now within 9 tenths, nearly 8 tenths to Cos behind, or Cos ahead, sorry. So Cos is about to feel the pressure. Goes into the first corner. Cos on the hards as well. Meds die around lap 10. Right, so we've got another 5 laps of racing at least before any tyres start to drop off. And you can see, there it is, the Red Bull on the charge. Soybean absolutely pushing at the limits. Techus goes up into 6th place. Dakota up into 5th and 6th, sorry, as Brizin loses 2 positions. Martin, I want to pronounce that name right. I want to pronounce that right. Goes through for P18, but he does manage to grab the fastest lap. Vers, who put 5k channel points on Rico. I can tell you now, Vers, it's going to be the 2 Alfa Romeo team principals. They have got stacks on stacks of points. They are going to dump all of those points on Rico. They are their number 1 driver who is still yet to win a race, and he is looking mighty strong in P1. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. But we have ourselves a very... Look at that timing. Look at the timings. All the way through is Shanae. Loses position to Mika. Mika gets through for P8. Mika is absolutely cooking. Williams looking very, very strong so far. P4 and P8. But have a look at the timing screens, folks. As Mika's on the charge to try and close that 1.5 second gap. You have a train from Brizin all the way up to Cos. And this is going to get very interesting. Snap, of course, the team principal for Williams. They are leading the total constructors across all 3 tiers as well. So this is getting... This is too thrilling for me, for my liking. But let's see what's going to happen. 6 laps through. Another 30 laps to go. You can see with this helicopter cam, the beautiful shots, the beautiful terrain of what all these drivers are able to do. To choose, look and try and join his teammate up there as they cross the line. 3 seconds almost between Rico and Cos. But I think the key factor, the key game changer that is going to swing the race, possibly against Rico, possibly in Rico's favor, is Soybean with the DRS goes down the inside. A very easy move for the Red Bull driver. Didn't even have to break a sweat. I say that as he almost gets a snap of oversteer, almost loses the car, goes a little bit wide, but he defends beautifully. And here comes Mr. Goat with the DRS. It's going to be Mr. Goat again. Almost 3 wide. They are going to go 3 wide. There is bumping between the 3 of them. They have managed to somehow keep that clean, but Mr. Goat, unfortunately, after all those bumps, has lost the fight and lost positions to choose. And now Alfa Romeo 1-4 at the moment. But Mr. Goat almost losing it all from a 3-wide battle into that, what is that, 4th corner. I had to hold my breath there. I was too scared. That was very tight, Vers. I was worried for all parties included. I did not think Goat was going to make it out of that. So it is very good to see that they are all alive. Heart attack indeed, Snap. Heart attack indeed. But as I was saying, is the strategy going to fail? Is the strategy going to fall in their favor? Down the inside, Mr. Goat is going to try and make a few positions, come back after a mistake there, and now back up into P2, or P4, sorry. Soybean still in for P2. But onto the strategy. So, Matt has said that the mediums will last around lap 10. The hards, I would assume, are about 15 laps, maybe 20 laps at a push if you're lucky. So is it going to swing to Rico's favor? Low fuel, well, much less fuel, onto the hards. Or is it going to swing to Soybean? Faster tires and less fuel. He will be a lot faster on those softer compound. But is he going to be quick enough to get the overtake done under the pit on the pit strategies? It is looking like Rico is on par with the rest of the drivers with tyre usage, whilst the hards are still at around 20%. We have a yellow flag there for a Ferrari driver. Unfortunately, Panos down to P15, now down to P16. But I'm going to stay on board here with Mr. Goat. as we've still got that beautiful train crossing the line. Lap 9. This is an excellent race so far. To see such beautiful racing. Unfortunate, though, after just a few laps, we lost 2 drivers. We've now lost a 3rd. Soybean, what? Soybean, who was running in P4, is now retired from the race in that 2nd sector. Panos now with a 5-second time penalty. He's going to be out of the race, retiring in the pits. Soybean's out. The one driver. I'm speechless. I have no clue how to react here. As I was mentioning, we lost Boosty and Rico, 2 Aston Martin drivers, out very early. A contact between the pair of them, retiring them into the walls. But now into just one corner. Panos into the pits, retires from the session. And Soybean into the first corner. Contact had to have been made. For Soybean is now out of the session. And with no safety car, the drivers are going to keep on going. And we're going to see this beautiful train continue on. But without a Red Bull. Without that mighty Red Bull in the mix of it. I'm still quite speechless. I have no clue what happened. I would love to see if Soybean can join the chat. I would love to know what has happened here. But we're going to see... With Mr. Go, he's got to choose right on his tail. It's going to be a massive DRS train all the way down to Brisbane. Shanae on the hunt, 2.5 seconds. As JPJ, let's have a look at the back of the grid as JPJ gets through with DRS ahead of Whopper McQueen. Whopper McQueen reserving in for his team after retiring just a couple races, a couple rounds ago. Up into P13. A very unfortunate race for Wobby so far, but hope is not lost. He is just 3 positions away from scoring points. I think it is still very much possible for Mr. McQueen. Going to jump back on board with the front running grid. I'm still really confused. Please, someone must have some information as to what happened there, because I did not see it. I saw Soybean go off into the gravel. I just saw the retired message come up. Yes, Rico is on the mediums. And now we have crossed lap 11. We've hit the mark where Matt has said, chat engineer Matt has said that the mediums will slowly start to die off around lap 10. So now we're in that window of opportunity where the hards are going to really come into the picture, really have the grip. And can Cos start to really close that gap down? 2.9 seconds. Had a moment on the curb in turn 3. That is very unfortunate to hear for Soybean. Fat cat. Fat cat, you can't say that. You can't say that. Come on. Soybean. Soybean did what Fat Cat did into tier 2 sprint. Had a moment on the curb on tier... very unfortunate race for Soybean. I'm still very speechless. I'm still trying to work out what happened, but I will have to come back to it because we have still got an exciting race to go. 25 laps remaining. Cross the line now for lap 12. We have a yellow flag for Cybersid, unfortunately, in the second sector. He's going to be lapped very soon if he doesn't pick up the pace. But we still have a beautiful train running. Mika, what's happened to Mika was 1.5 seconds behind, now 3.7 seconds behind. Now involved in their own train for P7 at the moment. Boosty had to take me out before he went. What? I'm sure there was no intentional DNFs. I really hope there isn't, because that will be a disqualification from the season, I believe. It's up to the stewards to decide, but it is quite a harsh penalty if you intentionally retire another driver, as Dietz now receives a 3-second time penalty for track limits, and Cyber Sid is now into the pits. And my oh my, I did not even spot that. The timing screens didn't even indicate a move was gonna happen, but Mr. Techus, the F2 champion, goes through down the inside into the final corner and now ahead into P3. This is incredible. I cannot stop saying it, but it is incredible to see how close all these drivers are racing as we have a battle there. Wobbie McQueen just getting ahead of JPJ, but I'm going to have a look at Tix here as he is fighting Chris, the other McLaren. He's on the charge. He's very low on the ERS. You can see on the on his wheel there. Slight bit of inside knowledge for all the engineers watching. But Tix on the charge. He's on for the last provisional point of this race. But can he score 2? Soybean cooking. Soybean, my friend, please do tell me what has happened to you. I was going to win that race so easily. Just made the stupidest mistake. No, that is all. I mean, it happens to the best of us. Take pride in the fact that it happens to the best of us. You're clearly the best of us because you have won 4 races of the 3 races of the 5 races we're racing this season. But a very unfortunate end for your race. I think you certainly had the advantage. You're on the hard compound tyres. You're going to have the advantage in the later stages of the race. And I'm going to come back to you in just a second as we have Mr. Techus down the inside with the DRS advantage. He goes through for P2. It is an Alfa Romeo 1-2 in this race. Soybean, look at what you have done. You have let Rico continue the lead for 3.5 seconds now, ahead of Mr. Techus for 14 laps. And it is now looking like a provisional 1-2 for Alfa Romeo. You have got to cook like there is no tomorrow for next week, because we're going to head off to Spain. And Soybean, you better be at the top of the standings for Spain. I'm going to be very upset if you're not. But Rico and Mr. Techus are on an absolute commanding race. Absolutely getting through the pack, getting ahead of the pack with the advantage of the tyres that they have at the moment. And are not stopping. Rico, 3.5 seconds. Techus with a 6/10 gap already. So Cos Sylvie, he's losing positions on the hards. Yes, DRS is quite powerful. But could it be that the mediums still have quite a lot of pace? And it does look like they do. They're all in the 40% range. So they will start to lose that grip. But clearly not as much as those in the hard runners were hoping, as Sid now receives a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Here comes Cos now on the charge. He's got the DRS. Easy move. Easy peasy move. Down the inside. Into that second sector now. Cos back on for P2. This is going to be an ongoing battle all the way up until they pull the trigger for their pit strategies. Soybean, you better cook, my friend. Don't forget, we do have ourselves a little prediction. Don't spend all your channel points, so you might lose it all. But put on your predictions for who you think's going to win. I have my bets, but I'm not going to say who, because it's going to come and take curse them. And I don't want that to happen. When are people going to box, though? We have got a beautiful train going. We've got Techus going for a move again down the inside for P2. And I'm having a look at Dakota now as he's closing in real close to Mr. Goat now. 2.5 tenths as Mika gets through for P8. They're fighting with Chris. I'll jump there in a second. But I think we're going to see 2 white. There's going to be multiple battles now as Cos Sylvie goes down the inside. We're going to go back to the back of the field with Mika and with Chris. As Mika is going to go for the inside line. Chris is going to defend to the inside line now. And he's comfortably ahead. Both of them with the DRS advantage. I was surely going to see a Williams try and go for a move down the inside. Mika playing it safe. Just sitting on the back foot there. Soybean, I was driving like a grandma at the start, I can't lie, but when it got going, I was a half second faster than Rico. Cos span Panos right in front of me. I mean, a lot did happen. A lot did happen on that opening lap. It was quite a chaotic start. But, yeah, maybe starting with like a grandma isn't a good idea. I think you should be on the pace right as the lights go out. Rico now, 4 seconds is his gap. He is not going to box this lap. We are reaching the halfway lap, the halfway point. No one is boxing still. All of the drivers are not going to box. They're all going to stay out on these tires. 16 lap old mediums, 16 lap old hards. Mika with a 3-second time penalty. goes through for P8. My prediction is Rico speeds in the pit lane and loses on penalties. I really hope that doesn't happen, Rez, but I mean, this is the entrance for the circuit. The pit entrance for the circuit can be very tricky, and if you're not careful enough, you don't hit the brakes at the right point, you will hit the limiter mark a little over. Maybe I should do some laps instead of Fortnite before practice. I did send you a message saying nice practice. You know, instead of playing F1 to practice, you just sat there, you know, cranking 90s in Fortnite. But you know, you do you. I think you've learnt your lesson now. I look forward to see what you've got at Spain, especially with the new track layout. I think it'll be very interesting to see how. I've never actually seen a full race around the new track layout. I've raced it myself, but I'm slow. I want to see what the fast guys can do. And here comes Mika now. She's on the charge with that DRS advantage. Going to go for a move and Dakota into the first corner. Beautiful move. Easy move for the Williams driver. And now the defense is on. 3 drivers very close behind. They're all going to have that DRS. Beautiful camera angle to have the action shot to see the Mercedes. He is closing in, and he is closing in fast, but into the braking zone. He is not fast enough. And Mika continues on strong for P7 now. 6-second gap to the drivers ahead. And the time gap between Rico and Koz is dropping slowly. 3.7 seconds. Could this be the lap for Rico to box? And he's not going to box. Rico now crossing the line, lap 18. Now lap 19. We have gone into the second half of this race. He has still not boxed. His tyres are now hitting 50% along with the rest of the grid on the mediums. Everyone, even on the hard compound tyre, except for Dietz, are all on 50%. Ticksticks now with a 3-second time penalty, sitting in P9 and P10 with his teammate just behind, both of them with a time penalty, looking to serve. Dietz is actually going to try and go for a move down the inside on his teammate. Very close. He does have to touch the grass there a little bit. That does potentially lose him a bit of time. Fortunately, he has to just slot back in behind his teammate. Bobbin McQueen is the first into the pits now. Fortunately, sitting in P15, he's going to try and look and score that fastest lap. Or potentially, with the soft tyres, close the gap as well to the drivers ahead of him as Martin. Oh my god, I want to pronounce it right. I'll stick with Martin. Martin now with a 3-second time penalty for track limits. There it is. The time is dropping, and Rico is still not boxing. Rico down to 3.4 seconds is his gap. He's closing in on a back marker. He's got Cybersid just ahead of him, and he is still not. But could he? There's no way you can go for the mediums to softs. There is no way 20 lap old mediums he's going to go through all the way down to 75%, pushing at the puncture territory and pit onto the soft compound tyre. As we have a nice little battle here now between Tix and between Shanae. In fact, both Hasses are going to be in this battle with the Mercedes. They're going to have the DRS. Shanae is on the inside. Dietz is trying to go for a move. He's not quite close enough, and Shanae managed to stay ahead of the pair of them with a beautiful move down the inside. It is possible to do a medium soft from Mav, and it's recommended by the game. That is interesting. That is very interesting that they are willing to push that. Unfortunately, I'm not going to show the ERS for the top 5. That information can be found using the team telemetry software or any other engineering software. The tyres is the best information you're going to get from the stream, Vers. 20 laps on the mediums and then 16 laps on the softs. That is tough, and there you have it. Rico loses the lead of the race. I think that might have been a mistake because he had 3 seconds in hand, and he's now down to P2. Koz on the charge for P1 for lap 21. Here comes Koz. He's got the DRS. He's going to get ahead into the braking zone. It is a comfortable move, but he has lost 3 seconds. Perhaps a mistake by the Alfa Romeo driver. But as Mav says, it will look like a full soft running grid for the end of the race. As Mika goes for another move, fighting with Shanae, going around the outside, a beautiful corner to try and go for a move. They manage to stick it out, they manage to make it work, too wide still, and Shanae with the inside line manages to stay ahead, as now Tixnix is under pressure from his teammate behind. D2 did have a beautiful line, had the grip, not quite close enough this time round. It is still going to be the two Hasses on the hunt for P9 and P10. Mr. Goat, the Tire Whisperer, wins this race. Trust. I read the script. Verz, I'd love to know where you got the script. I'd love to see the script for myself, but let's have a look. There it goes. The trigger has been pulled. Rico is in the pits. Alfa Romeo have opted to box, and they have opted to box now, and it is going to be... I think you are certainly going to be right. Of course, you will be right. It's going to be Mav. It is going to be the soft compound tire for Rico, the softs for Shanae, and I think the softs as well for Tix. It's going to be soft across the grid. Where does he come out, though? That is going to be the question. P9 at the moment. And I think it is going to just remain as P9 as Martin crossed the line now for 5 seconds in speeding in the pit lane, sorry. Bobby McQueen, P12, though. He's pitted early for those softs. He's managed to climb his way back up to P11. Could be looking to score some points. Rico in the box. This is getting interesting indeed. Koz is giving... I think Koz is going to stay out for as long as he can until the drivers behind him all choose the box as well, or at least to the best that he can tell. But his tyres, he has lost a lot of time. And he's lost a lot of grip. There he is. Koz into the box. Mr. Goat as well. We're going to see a massive train of drivers all go into the box. They're all going to stop just in time. Rise, they hit the pit limiter line. Mika is not going to box this lap. Because, of course, no, they are going to box. The Williams are going to double stack. And they're going to stop just in time for the line. And here comes Rico around the final corner. He's going to cross the line. Brizin takes the lead of the race. Of course, on the first stint of tyres, Koz Silvi has opted to go for the medium tyres for the next 13 laps of this race. As Rico comes around the first few corners, he's going to come round and past the pit exit and takes P2. Koz Silvi on a very, very interesting strat onto the mediums whilst the rest of the competition around him are onto the softs. Is he willing to bet then that the softs are not going to last? The softs are going to drop off quicker than they expect. And he's going to have the advantage in the dying laps of this race. 14 seconds is the gap to Brizin. Brizin looking to lead this race, for this final few sectors. I think this is going to be where he's going to box as well, along with JPJ sitting in P4. Alpine with 3-4 at the moment. Unfortunately, though, it will not stay. JPJ has to serve a mandatory stop. Let's have a look at Brizin. He's going to go into the box now. So Rico will regain the lead of the race with a purple middle sector, of course. He's got the fastest tire option available. JPJ surely must be in the box now. He is. Now, this is where things get real interesting. Rico on the softs, 2-lap-old softs. Koz Silvi, that's the 3-second gap that Koz originally had before they started fighting for the lead of the race. Koz Silvi, P2 on the mediums. Can Koz maintain the pace with the soft runners, close that gap down, and fight for the lead of this race? JPJ made Goat lose 2 seconds to Koz. Alpine have pulled out a beautiful strategy in that sense for giving Koz a buffer behind. But Goat is on for a provisional podium. What is going on this race? Brizin comes out in P6 onto the fresh softs as well. He's got a 1.3 second gap ahead of him and a comfortable 6 second gap behind. Koz goes fastest in the second sector. He beats Rico by nearly 1/10 in that second sector. He's going to cross the line. I don't think it's going to be enough for the fastest lap. We'll see in a second. It is not the fastest lap. It is a 109.9. He is 2/10 off the pace off of Rico's last lap, which is the fastest lap of the race. A 109.727 as Techus now receives a 3-second time penalty for track limits. This is getting very interesting as Koz Silvi now breaks down into the under the 3-second window. So Rico cannot, under any circumstances, get a 3-second time penalty for track limits. And unfortunately, I cannot see that information. I cannot see how many warnings they are at. But I can see that the gap is varying constantly. But it is not varying in Rico's favor. Cos on the charge, 2.6 seconds. I don't think softs was the right option for the end of this race. I didn't think it was possible, and I still don't think it is. Rico has got to prove me wrong. I mean, the entire grid is going to prove me wrong with this, I think, quite comfortably. But I do not think it is the optimal strategy. Week in, week out, these drivers prove to me, prove to us, that the impossible is possible. And I know they are going to show that this is possible, as Mr. GOAT is having to defend with all his might from Dakota and from Tachus behind. And just in the distance there, 6/10 behind. You got Brisen as well in the fight as well. I am holding my breath because I do not know what to say. This is getting very interesting. The start of this race was quite chaotic. The mid-pack of this race was getting quite interesting, but it started to die down. Once we waited for the strategies to come to place, it was quiet. And now, everything is on the line. Rico is on the line to win, provisionally, his first ever race victory. Cos Silvi on for a P2 after an incredible second race reserving in for Alpine. And Mr. Go on for a potential podium in this race. He's got a 4-second lead, a 4-second gap, sorry, to Cos ahead. He's got a half-second gap behind to Dakota. And every driver, bar Cybersid and Cos Silvi, are on the soft compound of tyre. Every driver has pitted on a pretty much different lap. But Cos Silvi, 2.5 seconds. You can't see it, but I am almost jumping in my spot because this is getting way too exciting. Let's get rid of that information. Too much is on the screen. I want to see the race. Is it hard to recharge? No, it isn't. That is very good news. So they are going to burn as much as they can. I will take the time to take a breath, bros. Thank you very much. Before the chaos starts to really ensue. That's a very good point, Soybean. Of course, I didn't get the optimal angle to be able to see what happened between Cos and Panos. But provisionally, we can speak in terms of provisional results. Cos is on his way to potentially win a race. It is then up to the stewards to dictate his future after reports. Cos Silvi, 2.3 seconds. He is closing that gap down like there is no tomorrow. 8 laps remaining in this race, and he is still going. Welcome, Lord Owl. It has been a long while since I've seen your name in the chat, mate. I hope you are doing well, but this is getting very good indeed. I do quite enjoy the trains that we've had. We've got a little bit of a battle now. Tachus going for a move down the inside on Brisen, and it is a comfortable move. And as Vers mentioned, I believe, at the in the chat earlier, everyone is flashing. Everyone is so low on ERS. I think the person with the highest in the top 10, the person with the highest ERS, looks to be a Mercedes. No, there are 2 drivers matching. 3 drivers matching on ERS. So now this is getting very interesting. Soybean, maybe I should be in there for more races. Please don't. Please don't retire more. Genuinely, if you continue racing, Soybean, if you continue to lead the pack, win races, you could be on to set the most records anyone has ever set in one season of racing. And this is your first full season with us. So, you could be on to absolutely put your name in the history books for Phoenix and leave it there for a long time coming. I don't think many people are going to be able to beat what you've managed to do this season so far. So you have got to keep it up. Less than 2 seconds now. Going to stay on board with Tachus, who is fighting very close. Brisen, Tachus, Dakota, and the GOAT, Mr. GOAT, all so close to each other. Soybean, I shouldn't need to tell you this stuff to see you race and absolutely see you push like mad. You should be doing that on your own. You're in the Red Bull as well, mate, honestly. You're in the Red Bull. You're destined to have to push. 1.5 seconds. This is 7 laps to go. This is getting too scary. I am not gonna... I've actually run out of water, so I can't hydrate, man. You just wasted 500 points. I'm sorry. But this is getting very interesting. I'm going to jump back to Cos in a moment as soon as we hit that 1 second gap. But Rico is heavily under pressure. He has got to be consistent. He's got to be careful. Of course, that 3 second time penalty will cost him that provisional race victory. As Dakota, oh my god, I'm sorry, I just missed that battle. Dakota down the inside with the DRS, manages to get ahead of Mr. Goat, on for a provisional P3 now. DRS train. Are we going to see a move again? Mr. Goat going to go for a move down the inside. We got the Alfa Romeo trying to take the toe from him as well, and Mr. Goat regains P3 now. I need to have a look at the tyres again. It is 7 laps for all drivers here in this battle. Brisbane just 1 lap difference to the drivers around him. Rico on the oldest tyre set in the top 7. Shanae matching him, and Tix as well matching him. I want to get your predictions now. I want 2 predictions. 1, where do you think Alfa Romeo are going to finish? Where do you think Rico and Tachus are going to finish this race? And the second prediction I want to know is, where do you think Mr. Goat is going to finish? Do you think he can secure that P3, or do you think he's going to unfortunately miss out on that podium? Those are the 2 answers I want to know from you guys. And I think we are very close. We are getting to that 1 second marker. Snaff is going to go for P3 for Mr. Goat. Verz is opting for P2 for Mr. Goat. Soybean, P2 and P8 for Rico and Tachus. Rico spins from tire wear. Okay, interesting. I mean, I hope that doesn't happen. But I mean, this is F1 23 we're talking about. I mean, anything could happen. Anything could happen. I'm half blind, alright? Soybean, I'm half blind. Don't blame me. Here we go, folks. This is where the battle gets real interesting. Cos Sylvie, driver for V10, reserving in for Alpine, is on the hunt for P1 in this race. It is DRS time. The equivalent of hammer time for Cos Sylvie in the Alpine. And he is going to be on the hunt now for P1. It's going to be a second helping of DRS as we come through this second and third corner, sorry. Onto the power he goes, half a second. Dakota gets through ahead of Mr. Goat down the inside. I'm going to come back to Mr. Cos, though, because this is where all the interesting battle is going on. I think we're going to see a change in order, a change in leadership in just 2 sectors, to be honest. I think it's going to be 2 sectors. What do you mean, yellow? I agree, Soybean. Mav should know if there's no safety car. This is gonna be a very quiet race now if I only watch these two, because I am gonna be able to hold my words. I don't want to jinx anything. I don't want to say anything is gonna happen. But Cos Sylvie now 3/10 behind into the first corner. There is gonna be a second helping of DRS now for this man. The Alpine is gonna be on the charge. Can he make the move on this lap? Lap 33 of 36. He's closing in. He's closing in quickly. Not close enough though. He is now got to keep it as close as he can. 2.5 tenths is the gap between P1 and P2. Shanae gets through for P8 again, defending as much as he can as Mr. Goat. There's an incident behind. Mr. Goat is spun. Mr. Goat has lost out on a potential podium position as Dakota now takes P3. Mr. Tachus is on for a potential P4. Or sorry, a potential P3, but he still has that 3-second time penalty to serve for track limits. So Mr. Goat unfortunately losing out on a potential podium. Let's have a look at Mr. Cos Silvi. He is closing in, and now this has to be the move. Lap 34 of 36. Rico has led the race beautifully. He has led the race in sensational fashion. And Cos Silvi, with one simple move, one simple strategy call onto the mediums for the end of this race, now leads this race. As we come down the second DRS straight, Rico does have DRS. He does try and close that gap. He is not going to be close enough, though, into the second sector. One of the hardest sectors to try and go for an overtake, especially with the grip difference between the mediums and the softs. Rico has lost the lead of this race for the second time going. Gosh dang it indeed, Vers. Very unfortunate for Mr. Go. He had an incredible race so far. There are still 2 laps left to go. All hope is not lost. Drivers can still make errors. And of course, penalties can still be awarded after the race. But we'll have to see. There is an advert on the stream. I do apologize, folks. I cannot control those at the moment, as I am in the comm box. But we're going to cross the line. Cos Silvi, P1 for lap 35 of 36. 2 laps left to go. Provisionally, can Cos keep the lead of this race? Can he finish this race in the lead? We have Brizin. Can I have some helicopter cam, please? I need better angles. Mr. Techus gets through for P3. Brizin through for P4. Dakota on the hunt. 2 of them are going to have DRS. We're going to have Brizin going down the inside. He's going to have that slightly fresher tyre. He's going to take P3. Now, what are these camera angles, please? Thank you very much. As Mr. Techus now receives a 3-second time penalty. Another 3-second time penalty for track limits in P4. Brizin now on for a provisional podium position in this race. As Martin now receives another 3-second time penalty for track limits. So far, a very small handful of drivers have got time penalties for track limits. And I have to say, for a circuit like this, especially with, you know, the wet race beforehand, drivers have done quite well to avoid track limits. Especially with the number of 2-wide or 3-wide battles we have had. Like I say, every week, these drivers continue to impress me and continue to show me it is possible to pull off miraculous moves like a 3-wide down the inside double overtake. As a Dakota there, very late on the brakes, he's had to go to the runoff, so he's going to be out of this battle now for the final lap of this race. It is still going to be Cos Silvi ahead of Rico. We're going to stay on board here with Techus, though. Although we may have some penalty to serve at the end of the race, it's still going to be a very exciting battle between the Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari sister team. Our sister team, sorry. Shall we have a look at what ERS they've got, Soybean? Soybean, Mr. Cos Silvi in the lead of this race has 25% ERS as we come round towards the third sector. And Rico has 70% ERS. If this is correct, he has plenty to burn to try and win the race. But he's not going to win this race on track as we come down towards the line. And for the first time this season, Alpine and Cos Silvi will win this race. And there is a lovely contact between the pair of them as after they cross the line. But that is going to be Cos Silvi with the top step of that podium. Rico for P2, Brizin for P3, and Dakota after penalties just managing to get ahead of Mr. Techus for P5. Williams with a very good race, very unfortunate spin, by Mr. Goat, scoring P6 and P8. Shanae on a comeback race after so long just racing ACC, comes back for F1, scores P7, and has scored a P9 and P10. So an incredible race for so many drivers. So many unfortunate retirees as well. We've had a double DNF for Aston Martin. Boosty and Rico have a collision with one another very early in this race. Panos into the pits, retiring from the session. And Soybean, as he put it himself, a stupid mistake, unfortunately puts it into the wall. And that is the end of Soybean's race. But there you have it, folks. Rico with a very commanding lead. Provisionally does not win the race. Cos Silvi wins the race, but as Soybean very, very well pointed out, Cos Silvi does potentially have a pending penalty coming his way after a very unfortunate spin between him and the Ferrari. Now, I would absolutely love to have some interviews. So if you could please, for some of the race engineers in the chat, can I please have a conversation with, at the very least, I'd like to have a chat with Cos Silvi and with Rico. The team principals are also welcome to join. I think that'll be quite an interesting chat to see how that race went for them. That is incredible. And if we look at the fuel, Cos Silvi crosses the line with 0.4 and Rico with 0.1. Rico crosses the line with barely any fuel. I'm speechless for that. That is incredible. I don't know how these drivers do it. There you have it. There's your points for the end of this session. Cos Silvi with 32 points. Rico with 26 points, the equivalent of a race victory. And fastest lap, Brizan with 15 points. And we've got ourselves 14 points finishes in this sprint race weekend. And it is a double... it is a double Mercedes, a double Ferrari, double Williams, and double Aston Martin, double Haas points finish. And unfortunately, Soybean is the only Red Bull to have scored points in that mix, along with Alpine, the only Alpine to score points. Now, let's have a look at the... Oh, please, okay, my game's frozen. Ignore the fact that you can hear my my screenshots. You hear nothing. But yes, that was Tier 1, folks. Shout out to Mika from SNAF. Great recovery drive for a home race. Yep. Mika, Brazilian driver, racing with us at Phoenix Sim Sport. Brilliant drive to get through into the points. Lord Owl, so many points have won from that prediction. Thrilling race. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much, Lord Owl. It is great to see you in the chat again, and Rose as well. Lovely race. That was an incredible race. I am still very curious to know what happened in the sprint race. Bobby McQueen, I believe, went to go mow the lawn. Very unfortunate contact then followed that, so surely a lot of penalties to potentially be served by the McLarens. But let's see. Let's try and get some interviews going. So bear with me, folks. Let's have a quick look and have a look in the paddock, try and grab ourselves the two drivers. We do have them. They've already joined and they are ready to go. So we're going to have ourselves an interview in just a moment. Hello, Soybean. Why have you called me light mode? Why? What is your question, good sir? Ask the question before I get into the interviews. I'm curious to know what question you might have in store for me. You are taking your sweet time to ask this question. I really hope it is not an essay you're writing. Alright, you're taking your sweet time. I'm going to go ahead and have the interviews because it is now 9:15. So let's have a chat first with Cos Silvi. Cos Silvi, first of all, I want to give you a massive round of applause. You absolutely commanded the race. Whilst you may have not led the race for much of it, you still managed to pull off a strategy masterclass and beat Rico at the end of that race. Tell me, what are your thoughts? What are your emotions through that race?
Oh, no. I don't even know what to say, honestly. Yeah, it was really intense. Second stint, especially. I mean, the whole race had to be in my toes because... well, in the sprint race, someone readied up at the very beginning, just as I was fixing something with my recording settings, because for some reason my NVIDIA won't record, and when I heard the beep beep on the background, and I tapped back in, and we're literally just like 5 seconds off from starting, right? So I had to drive the sprint on the dry setup. I still did pretty well, I think, but yeah, not optimal. And then, well, on the main race, I started on the hard, and the whole race I had a couple of guys behind me who were like on the medium tires, but just wanted to get past me anyhow. And you know, I was just trying to keep the place because I felt I was a bit quicker. They would just catch up so much down the straight with the DRS, and you know, eventually Rico had that bit of a spin there, half spin, lost a lot of time, and it caught up to him. And yeah, at the end, all that mattered was the medium tire was just so much quicker than the soft, and because the soft overheats a lot around Brazil, and especially if you're pushing a lot like Rico was. So yeah, I just had so much pace on the medium tire that it just worked.
I had my doubts as well. Mav and Joe, a few others in the chat, were saying that medium soft was the optimal strategy or the main strategy that the game offered. But I didn't think it was going to work. From what I can see, Rico crossed the line with 60% wear on his softs. So you certainly had the advantage by a country mile on those mediums. But I want to know, at the very start of the race, I didn't manage to get a good look of it, unfortunately, but it did look like there was contact between you and the Ferrari. What happened there? What was...
Honestly, I have no clue. Like, I'm not sure if it's my fault even because, like he was lagging a lot on my screen to start, and like 1 second he was alongside me, the other he was like behind me, and I tried to give space on the room on the inside, but like he was moving all over the place. I just didn't know what was gonna happen. Like for one moment I was seeing him go off the track, and then next second he was right on my inside, and I didn't even feel contact on my end. Like he was Panos and me had somewhat of a connection issue between us two, I guess. And well, I mean, sorry to him. I already spoke to him in DMs and told him, I didn't. If it was my fault, that I'm sorry, but I couldn't have done anything with the lag that there was between the two of us. So yeah.
Well, nonetheless, it'll be down to the stewards. So as far as I'm aware, you're the race winner. It's up to the stewards to ruin your evening if that is what they choose. Yeah. But congratulations, an incredible drive. You stole Rico's first ever race victory right from his hands. And as much as it is quite sad to see Rico not secure that first race victory, it is still a absolute sight for sore eyes to see you at the top step. Of course, your first race you reserved in for Alpine, you retired right off the bat. So it is nice to see you reserve for the second time this season and come out on top. So a massive congratulations. Very well deserved P1. Let's hope you keep it. We'll have to see what the stewards think. If any of them are going to choose to be the Michael Massey and ruin the evening.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking back at it just now, and it just looks like he ghosts through me completely. And, when someone ghosts into you, the arrow goes away. So for me, he wasn't even there. Like he was ghosting through me, and I couldn't know he was even there. I mean, I'm really sorry for him, but I couldn't have done anything with the desync issues between the two of us.
Well, it happens. These things do happen. This is notorious with this game, as we all know, with its delightful connection troubles. But regardless of that, congratulations again. Very well deserved. An excellent strategy masterclass by Alpine and by yourself. And I do look forward to see if you race with us again, because I think you're going to put up quite the challenge for Soybean, for Rico, and the rest of the big names in Tier 1 who are fighting for the lead and the race victory. So hopefully I do see you around again.
Yep. And yeah, before I go, massive thank you to the guys over at B10 for letting me in the team, and to you, Darkness, for commentating this race, and to everyone watching, and those who bet for me, because I saw everyone bet for Rico, and in the end, like 2 people bet for me, and they won. So thank you for having faith in me.
Awesome. You're most welcome, buddy. I look forward to see you on track again, future races to come.
Right. See you, mate.
Now, let's have a chat with who could have been the first time race winner this season, Mr. Rico. Welcome to the Combox. First of all, qualifying, absolute superb drive in qualifying. The sprint race absolutely went your way. No one stood a chance against you. And then it came to the race. And unfortunately, you lost it just off of the strategy to go off on the softs like the rest of the grid. But Cos Sylvie on the mediums had the power, had the grip. Tell me, what thoughts, what emotions are you feeling after that almost race victory just taken from your hands 2 laps before the end of the race?
Bro, I took it from my own hands. I spun on my mediums because I hit the grass and then spun.
Wow.
Then lost 3 seconds. Otherwise, I would have easily cruised to the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
Even though if he had better tire wear, it doesn't matter. Like I spun, lost 3 seconds, came ahead of him 2.5 seconds after the pits, so it would have been 5.5, and he barely gained on me in the latter stages. So it's all my own fault basically. But
You
yeah, it's
you
whatever.
sound pretty down after that race.
Bro, it's so dumb, man. What's whatever.
Well, you certainly deserved that race victory. I mean, that sprint race, you were in a league of your own, just like Soybean when he's racing. I'm very curious to know. I'd like to see Soybean's point of view. Whilst he did tell me what happened, I'd love to see his point of view of what happened. But
Well, I saw it. Like,
Was
I
it-
heard Kos saying that he ghosted into him. Like the who was it again?
Soybean.
No,
Soybean
no.
said he hit the curb and lost it himself
Oh no! I meant
with
between
Panos.
Kos and Panos. Yeah, like
Wow.
Kos said he was ghosting into him or something.
Yeah. So it's going to
Well,
be
I
down to
saw-
the stewards to review and see if they're going to ruin the evening. But
Yeah, but I saw the POV of Soybean because he was behind it, and it looked like Kos went too early to the right and clipped Panos.
okay. Well, it'll be interesting to see what the stewards think of that outcome. But regardless, your race, I mean, you drove absolutely incredibly. A massive congratulations. Yes, you may have lost the race victory, but you still deserved a very commanding P2. No one stood a chance against you. It would have been nice to see Soybean racing with you, but as he put in the chat, he was racing like a grandma at the start and then made a mistake. Claims to have been half a second faster than you, so we'll have to see how the race goes for you two at Spain.
He's lying.
Is Spain a strong track for you? Do you think you can pull off
Hell
the same
no.
you did here?
Hell no.
Why not? You must have confidence in yourself. Come on.
I've never been fast at Spain.
Well, I'm sure the
Never.
Alfa Romeo team bosses do not want to hear that, so I hope you get your practice in, because I know they were absolutely overjoyed to see you win that sprint race, and were, without a doubt, probably quite upset to see you lose that win. But on to next week, and I'm sure Spain is going to be quite interesting.
By the way, medium softs was the better strategy than hard mediums, because
Okay.
the mediums had almost the exact same tire wear as the hards, and softs basically had the same tire wear as the mediums. Like it differed like 1 or 2%, but like he pitted 1 lap later.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I look forward to see how you do at Spain. I hope you do get the practice in. Hopefully, Soybean doesn't bin it in the wall like he did this stream. And we'll see another interesting battle for the lead of the race. So congrats.
We'll see.
We'll see you next week.
I see you.
And now we're going to have ourselves one more interview. Though we did not finish on the podium, I do want to have a chat. Soybean, welcome to the Combox, first of all. Very upsetting to see you retire so early on the race. You certainly showed that you had the pace. You certainly showed that you could have been in the battle for P1. Tell me, what thoughts are going through your head after that race, after that weekend?
Well, you know, honestly, I was pretty annoyed when I DNF'd, obviously, but then it was just like, it was completely my fault, and it was so unnecessary, so I can't really blame anyone, so just have to move on, and yeah, go again afterwards, but I'm a bit annoyed as well, obviously, because I was on the hards, and we were catching Rico, me, and Kos, so, you know, maybe we could have taken a few points off of him, but, you know, that's just how it goes sometimes. I guess it makes it a little bit more interesting, a bit closer as well, so more exciting. And yeah, so Brazil was like, I was pretty confident around there. So, and I haven't done Spain, just like most other people. There isn't usually race around there. So yeah, we'll just see how it goes, and we won't bin it next time. And I'll take it a bit more seriously, I guess, because like. As you can tell, I did no practice for this race, so I was really just getting into it at the start, and then once I got going, it was good. But yeah, that's just really terrible race. And for my teammate as well. So yeah, I guess it levels the playing field a little bit, and we'll see if we can fight back a little bit.
Awesome. Well, as you mentioned, yeah, it was quite upsetting to see you retire so early. Hopefully you get that practice in, you know. Rico as well mentioned that he's not done any practice for Spain, so you've got the advantage there. Well, I say that. You both have equal playing field for practice on that circuit. Please don't race like a grandma next week. I'd like to see you on the pace, on the ball, constantly fighting for the lead of the race. And as I mentioned, you are on the road to break a lot of new records. I didn't think anyone would be able to break. So I do hope you put in the practice, you finish out the season in an absolute insane fashion as you would as a Red Bull driver. So
yeah, it seems like it's either winning or DNFing for me. So hopefully for the rest of the season, we'll get the wins in. And obviously, I lost a lot of points on said records you're talking about this race, but you know, I'd say if we can at least win the rest of them, that would be pretty decent. What, a few races? How many? 5 left? I don't even
4
know
left.
anymore.
You got Spain, then you got Hungary, a Jeddah sprint, and then a Bahrain finish.
Oh, I'm looking forward to next season. I'll tell you that much.
Okay. Well, let's hope that you enjoy this season as much as you can.
Yeah, I mean,
Well done on the sprint
it's
race. Unfortunate for
I
the
wouldn't
race.
say well done. I also spun in the sprint race as well.
You
I
finished it. You crossed the line.
Yeah, I was just stuck behind Cost pretty much because he had a well, we both had a dry setup on, but I was just getting into it again, like I said, and eventually I had the pace, and then I just bottled it again. So yeah, just not a good weekend, but yeah, well, it's always more fun when it's closer, so and more exciting for everyone else. So we'll see how it goes, and I think I should still be in the lead of the championship for now, but yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
Well, congrats on finishing the sprint race. Uncongrats on not finishing the actual race. I look forward to seeing you next week at Spain.
Yeah, just I did ask my question, by the way, in the chat, which was
Have a battle
someone,
with JPJ.
yeah, can we do that? Question mark?
Maybe we will find the
Maybe.
time if it's possible. But
Are you
anyways,
still in the lobby?
no, I've left.
Okay.
Congrats, mostly. I'll see you next week. And there you have it, folks. That is going to be the end of the Tier 1 stream. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. I am still quite speechless by so much that had happened. We had the McLaren going across the grass and a massive incident there. We've had the Ferrari go into the wall. Soy being retired. A double DNF for the Aston Martins. Mr. Goat spinning. So much happened in one race, and I didn't catch it all, so I do apologise for that. I will try to catch all the action next week as we head over to Spain. Typically a very warm country, and I do hope we have a dry race, but who knows? The race weather will be determined tomorrow. I believe either tomorrow or Tuesday, which is when the attendant bots come out, so please wait for that, and you and I can find out what the weather will be for next week. I'm hoping we don't have rain, because I think rain at Spain will be pain. That's the end of my rhyme for Tier 1. Thank you, everyone. See you next week.